Hi, my name's Armon-Jones. I'm here with Music Radar inside my studio. The first 8 to 10 years of me playing professionally, I wasn't really interested in that stuff. I wasn't really interested in synthesizers or phasers or delays or any of that stuff really. I was more interested in the notes and the rhythm and that side of things, and less about how the sounds were treated. So when I was recording, I wasn't so worried about what mic are you going to use on the kick drum and how are you going to record the horns, how big's the room going to be. Those type of things just didn't cross my mind because I didn't think about them. And then maybe 7 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, I moved into a house that was just all producers basically. Like everyone else who lived in the house was a producer. It was 4 of us. Everyone very different styles of production, and they essentially taught me a lot. So, a producer called Maxwell Owen, who's a DJ as well, one of my favorite DJs and one of my favorite producers. He taught me a lot of what I know about electronic music, dance music, ambience, the type of stuff that goes into the back of a track. Not all tracks, but the background of a lot of tracks has sound design elements and ambience. Me and him were listening to a lot of Burial and stuff like that, and trying to figure out the things that go in the background of those tracks, and the way he uses sampling is completely different to the way someone like DJ Premier would use sampling or someone. So it's, yeah, I learned a lot through Max, definitely. We made music together, we've got a few projects together, and yeah, through the process of doing that, really, I was learning about a lot of this stuff. But that was more on the side of in the box type, gear, like in terms of okay, this is how you filter a sample, and this is how you make things sound all muffled, and this is how you make it sound all kind of tinny and those type of things. And then, yeah, I think in terms of the actual hardware and gear itself, that is physical gear, compressors and delays and things that are in the real world in front of me, I tried to learn that stuff myself a lot, basically, especially over lockdown. That was when I really got a mixing desk, got some very basic EQs, compressors, and just tried to start learning how stuff actually really works, because I definitely didn't know what compression was back then, even though I talked about it. And it took me, a long time of playing with the dial and hearing the effect of the dial on the music to really understand it, and it helped to have real pieces of gear that I could do that with. It took me a very long time to learn. When you start doing mixing, unless someone's there to tell you, you tend to just put all your energy and effort into what you think the music needs, which is bass and kicks. So you spend all this time trying to get them perfect, and then it took me a very long time to realize that mixing is the complete sum of everything in the song. So if you're ignoring parts of the song to work, it doesn't work. You have to be listening to everything. It's called All the Quiet, and it's going to be served in 2 parts. In my head, it is one album. It's all one project. I made it in this period of time, and I considered it a body of work the entire time. But it is over the length that I would want people to consume it all in one go, basically, because I know how listening works, and I know how my own attention span and listening works. So yeah, it's part 1 and part 2, and they're served to tell 2 different parts of the same story, basically. And the story of the album is a real life story and also a fictional story, if that makes sense. So a thing that I think about a lot, and I don't know what the right word is, maybe worries me a lot, is how much credence and importance is given to music as something that people need, and as important as oxygen and food to people's lives, in terms of, it's very difficult to imagine what life is like without music, because people never really had to experience that. it's very hard to go about your daily life. Obviously, extenuating circumstances not included in this, but it's very difficult to go about your daily life and not hear some kind of music, some form or another. So it's important, I think, because I know this might be a topic that's been done to death in terms of people complaining about it, but the value of music has dropped considerably since I was born. And it's dropped from people assuming it's something you have to pay for and, you know, it's a product like anything else. It's dropped from that to something that people kind of, is a given that you will be able to access it for free. And while it's a great thing to be able to get stuff for free, and it's a great thing that, like, there's a low bar for people getting into music and getting into production, it's not a great thing that less people are trying to perfect their art. Less people are, you know, just an engineer. You know, people try and do everything nowadays rather than hone in on one craft. And, like, I feel like music has lost a little bit of its, difficult to say this without sounding very jaded, but, like, I really care about music, and a lot of the people that I spend time around really care about music as well. And the real life side of this album is basically trying to stress its importance as if it was a religion to me on my life, and the therapeutic effect that it has on me when I play it, and hopefully on other people when we play it to them, and on me when I go to other people's shows. Like, that effect, especially when music is being done with real, genuine intent behind it, and the intent is not, I want to make a lot of money. The other side of it is a story, which is an imagining of where we could possibly get to if we go down this road of not valuing music to the point where it becomes almost a thing that's been forgotten about. So the story of the album is set far into the future, the year 3999, but it's a world that essentially music has been squashed away to the point where it's very few people that know how to do it, very few people that play instruments, very few people that would know how to play a cello or play a piano or play drum kit. They've become like lost skills, and in the place of that is just kind of control. Basically, people have lost their freedom and their ability to enjoy their life and express themselves because they don't have this access to the music that does that for them. And so, yeah, it's a very, like, without running you through the whole story, which you can read and will be available, it's a world where it's a fight to protect music, essentially, and music's become a very rare, scarce element, and it's boiled down to this one final battle to protect the final instruments and the final sound systems and speaker systems and mixing desks and microphones, and they've all been stored in the same place called the Citadel. And that's where the perspective of this album is written from, basically. And album one, so part one of the album is the before the storm. So it's, you know, the quiet before the storm, essentially, like with the threat is looming, but it hasn't happened yet. Everyone's kind of peacefully enjoying the Citadel and what it has to offer in terms of music and dance. And then album two is essentially the fight, where the forces that want to take that away, call them governmental forces, have arrived to essentially squash the final rebellion. And that's part two. So yeah, this is, you know, and the takeaway from that in my head is we just need to protect music and really look after it and not take it for granted, and really put funding into it, fund children learning instruments, children learning music education, people being shown different forms of music, radio playing a more varied set of music, not just the same songs again and again and again. All of these things like need to improve, I think, if we're not going to head into that apocalyptic world. It started with just seeds of ideas. So I would record voice notes. I imagine a lot of people do. I would sit at a piano or a synth whenever I have a spare moment, especially when I'm supposed to be doing something else. I know it sounds weird, but like I find that I write the best tunes when I'm, at a sound check and sound check's finished and everyone's going to dinner, and then it's like, oh, I really want to go to dinner, but like that's when the ideas come, annoyingly, but like that tends to be when I write my best ideas. So I'll come up with seeds of ideas a lot of the time, record them as a voice note, but not flesh it out arrangement-wise or anything. And then when I come to record with the band, that's when I'll get, as soon as I've played it once with the band, I'll be like, oh, okay, this is what needs to happen, this needs to go here, this bit's too long. Do a lot of that. And then I tend to try and explain that stuff before we've done a take. So I'll play on the piano, play with the bass player and the drummer maybe, show them the idea, show them the arrangement of what we're going to do with it roughly, but not too, 8 bars of this, 8 bars of that, but just we'll play this, then we'll move into this, however that is. Play like half a minute of it just to make sure everyone's got it and the sounding good in the engineer's room, and then go and normally use what we go with, because I really like the sound of people's first explorations of stuff, like a drummer's first time playing a tune where they're just enjoying it basically, not overthinking what's best on the tune because it's the first time. It's kind of this weird like no pressure moment because I haven't been rehearsing it with them for 2 weeks, and it's like, all right, remember how we rehearsed it, let's go. That's pressure in a weird way, but like try and give people the freedom and the feeling that they can do what they want on these tunes. And then quite often what will happen is we'll play the song that I've written, and at the end of that recording we'll go into something else that is spur of the moment. So a good example of this is Lavender. That wasn't written at all. That was out at the back of something else that we'd played that was in a different key, different vibe. And that there's a special kind of moment that can happen after you've done a good take of something where everyone feels really confident and happy and comfortable with what they've done. And you get this feeling of like, well, we've done that now. Anything we do on top of that is extra, is a bonus. And then you record something else, but in the same take. So you let the thing keeps rolling, keep playing, play the outro of the song maybe, and then somehow that will turn into something else. I don't really know how it happens. I'd have to go back over the things and be like, oh, okay, we did this and then we did that. But like, it tends to be the thing that comes out there is something that I really am emotionally drawn to, and because it's a sort of spur of the moment combination of what we're doing in the moment. Yeah, I do a lot of the arrangement after that. So we don't play the click track, so I tend to have to make sure I'm playing with drummers that play solidly so that you can still edit if I need to get rid of something, because I'm like, oh, we played this for quite a long time, we probably could have gone on to this next bit quicker. I'm lucky enough to play with drummers who, even without a click track, you can take 4 bars and put it together and it doesn't sound like they've changed speed, because they haven't. They're sat in the same speed, which is, I'm very lucky to. Shout out to Edward Hick and Morgan Simpson, Quake Bass. Like, those are the percussionists and drummers on the album that held it down. I would say, yeah, when it comes to guests, this is my attitude for working with anyone, to be honest, whether it's guest vocalists or whether it's my own, the band members, the people playing the, drummer, bassist, etc. Like anyone who's on the record, the atmosphere of the studio is one of the most important things that will affect the music. And if it sounds like a very fanciful, hard to pin down thing, but it's not really. It's about being in the room with everyone, a friendly atmosphere, booking people that get on well together personally as well as playing wise, and then not piling pressure on people. Like I've done sessions in the past where I felt like a lot of pressure's piled on me for whatever reason. Things that people will say before you record, oh, this has to be the one, oh, we're running out of studio time, we've got to get it on this take, little last take, yeah, like little things that people say that makes the musicians tense up and not play as the best that they can play. So with guests and features and people that I'm working with, it's the same thing basically. Once a tune is made, I hear someone on it basically. So I hear someone straight away and be like, oh, these voices will work on this soundscape. So another place, when that was finished being made, the vocalist that I heard together on it was Greentea and Wooloo, and I know both of them through similar walks of life. I've recorded with both of them before. I know those two get on well. I know those two are friends. And I know their voices will complement each other. So in my head, it was kind of, let me lay down one part and then get another vocalist to respond to what they've done around them. So Aria Greentea came and laid her part first at my other studio before I had this spot. So we were in a tiny little space, you know. So it was a good thing we knew each other. It sort of squashed up awkwardly. But yeah, she's an amazing vocalist. I think when I talk about, you know, when I do my like ranting about the olden days when everything was bad, like she's one of those rare singers who she's got the vibe of someone who's like a legend from back in the day in terms of like the way she can sing and the way that she sounds unique and the way that she's not really pulling from any. She's inspired by other people, but she's not, oh yeah, she sounds like, it's not that. It's like she has her own sound. She has her own harmony even, like the way the notes that she chooses, those are like the type of notes that she would choose, which is quite a rare thing to have as a songwriter and as a singer. It's a very like special ability to be able to choose notes, not even just like, oh, that's the sound of their voice and that's the type of lyrics that they would sing, but like those are the type of notes that they would choose on a melody. Erykah Badu has this where it's like, oh, there's like phrasing and like ways that she will sing over a chord where it's like, oh, no one else would choose that note. Like that's a weird note to go for, but it works. That kind of effect I find really inspiring in musicians. So it was very easy to make that. You know, she's effortless with what she does. And then once it was in and edited and like arranged properly, essentially around what she'd done, I just asked Wooloo to respond to that. And again with Miles, like I've known him for a very long time, worked with him for a very long time in different scenarios, and know how to make him feel comfortable essentially recording on a tune. And I don't like to be like, okay, do this, make sure the subject is this, make sure you get in there. It's you get more out of people, I think, when you let them do their thing, which is kind of the first time I heard of a musician doing this is Duke Ellington used to do this with his band, basically, where you just write songs for different members of the band, and each song would be like, oh, this is because I know you all sound really good on this, and write the song, let them do their thing. But it's not like forcing them to sound like his composition. He's writing his composition to, you know, so that they'll to enhance what they do, and so they can enhance the composition. So same kind of ethos, I think, when working with guests and things like that. The mixing process, it was intense for me. I spent a lot of time in here going over things, listening to things, rerunning things through the tape machine at the end of the process to get the correct amount of noise to, you know, signal noise ratio, stuff like that. A lot of things that had to be redone, you know, the mix is correct, but the signal to, you know, tape noise to floor ratio, whatever the word is not correct, or left side's cut out, all the sort of technical things that you get with working with analog stuff. And then the actual in my brain part of the process, where if I'm mixing the album, I'm technically the person to say, yep, it's done now, which is quite a scary thing. The longer you spend in something and living with something, I kind of realized at the end of the process that I was coming up with reasons to like extend the process. It's this very weird like psychological journey that you kind of go on, where you do want to finish something, but because part of you doesn't want to be finished with it, because you're enjoying doing it and because you're very like personally connected to it, you're the other part of your brain is like coming up with reasons why you can't stop doing it. And it's, you know, my manager will attest to, like, is it done yet? And I'm like, nah, still finishing the mixes. Like, there was and then it takes me seeing other people do it to realize I'm doing it. You know, I know other people who do this with releases, not necessarily mixes, but just in terms of with a release, they will like come up with reasons why, oh, we can't put it out yet because we need to do this, and oh, we need to do this. And the real reason is I'm enjoying this part of the process. Like, this is my favorite part of the process, making the thing. Once you make it and put it out, then it's not really yours anymore. It's other people's. It's for the world and for whoever listens to it. And so it's a line to step over, basically. And when I clocked that, I was able to step over it. But I had to realize, like, you're just getting in your own way here. Like, time to call it a day, and then sit and be happy with it. And then, you know, that came, but it was a mental barrier to cross.